Tired of Black Series lists?
No.
Yeah, me neither, but this one is different.
What?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but there's other things we can cover other than Black Series.
Like what?
Like the vintage collection for one.
Get right out of town.
No, I'm serious. The top 10 most expensive vintage collection figures.
I'll give him a whirl.
Yeah, let's check them out. Welcome to CKC, I'm Matt, and if you like Star Wars and Star Wars collecting, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe, like this video, and
hold on to your butts.
So we've done a lot of lists. We've done the top 10 most expensive Black Series figures, the most expensive Part 2, the most valuable Black Series, the most valuable Part 2, the most worthless Black Series, the most worthless Part 2, the most shocking Black Series prices, both high and low, the top 10 missing figures from the line, all of which are linked in the description of this video in case you want to check them out. But we've done plenty of Black Series lists, and I think it's time for a change.
We fear change.
Yes, Garth, a change.
Okay. Wayne!
That's right, changing things drastically, which means we're doing a list for the Vintage Collection! I can hear the groans of Black Series collectors all the way from here. But I also collect the Vintage Collection, and it just hasn't been getting a lot of love lately. Releasing new figures on nostalgic cards, similar to the original figures, was an awesome idea. Long before the Black Series 6-inch figures were even a glimmer in Hasbro's eyes. Not to mention the fact that the figures were under $10 retail. Imagine that. But now, some of them are ridiculously expensive. And Hasbro has revived the line, only to just pump out a bunch of repacks. If you're gonna pump out repacks, I guess okay, but how they are choosing which figures to repack friggin' blows my mind. Now maybe Hasbro, and I'm just spitballing here, like literally just pulling thoughts out of the sky, maybe you should repack some of these figures, and maybe some of the ones that would make a second list of this type, a list that I will eventually create. You know, the figures that will run you 70, 80, 100, 200 bucks before you repack another Luke. What do you think? Or Padme? Like collectors were climbing the fences outside Hasbro HQ demanding Padme repacks? What do you think? Just a thought. But before we begin, Walter, what do we need?
This is not Nam, this is bowling. There are rules.
Hey.
That's right. The rules. Rule 1. Only single figure releases. That's what we're dealing with this list. No 2-packs or 3-packs, anything like that. Rule 2. No foil variants, because that BS just makes me mad. Rule 3. No exclusives or mail-aways. However, the last waves of the original TVC releases that were online exclusives do count. So what we're talking about here are the basic releases from VC01 to VC170. And yes, I went through every single one. So let's get it on. But first, honorable mentions.
Honorable.
The Vintage Collection Revenge of the Sith 501st Legion Clone Trooper VC60, $90. If there's one thing the TVC does better than the Black Series, it's Clone Trooper representation. However, it's funny to think the TVC collectors eventually started getting burned out with Clone Trooper releases back then. Sometimes what's currently going on with figures affects the prices of the older figures, specifically the Vintage Collection, and that's kind of what's happening here. The regular 501st Trooper is generally over $100, and most of the time closer to $125 to $150, but he's dipped recently with the release of the new TVC ARC Trooper 3-pack exclusive and the 5's single figure release. I guess people must be thinking to themselves, hey self, why would I pay $120 for one figure when I can pay the same for 3 figures? Or you could pay $250 on Amazon, just in case you guys are interested. It has good articulation and surprisingly has a removable helmet. Hey, wait a second. Hey Frank?
Hey, Mike.
It's Matt actually.
I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed.
It's fine. Anyway, this TVC Clone Trooper from 8 years ago has a removable helmet, but the TVC Captain Rex, arguably the most popular Clone Trooper that's coming out soon, doesn't have a removable helmet. Am I reading this right? That seriously blows my mind. Number 10, the Vintage Collection Return of the Jedi Weequay VC107, $90, and Nikto Skiff Guard VC99, $90. When the HasLab Jabba's sail barge was announced, all the TVC figures from the Jabba's palace scenes from Return of the Jedi skyrocketed in price. I know because right before it was announced, I had been scouring eBay every day looking for TVC figures that I never picked up. Most of the Jabba Palace aliens were around $13 and shot up almost overnight to like 60 or 70, some closer to 100 because collectors needed the right figures to populate their barges. The Skiff Guards, the regular Weequay, not the Skiff Master Blaster one, which is about $75, and Nikto seem to have benefited the most, both of them just shy of $100 each. All of Jabba's palace aliens, including both Weequays and Nikto, are some of my favorite characters because they were all figures that I had as a kid. So I was looking to pick them up myself and was shocked to see them jump in price so high and so quickly. It was nuts. But both figures are good and they both look great. So if you can find them for cheap,
Pick 'em up!
Number 9, the Vintage Collection Expanded Universe Star Killer, Vader's Apprentice, VC 100, $100. If there's another thing that the TVC does better than the 6-inch Black Series, is that they actually have a Star Killer figure. Yes, I know that the TVC figure was repacked in the 3.75-inch Black Series line, but he is noticeably lacking from the 6-inch line. Disney Star Wars isn't big on the Expanded Universe either, or Star Wars Legends, and I guess because they didn't feel like reading all those books. But this is one of the best TVC figures by Hasbro, which was also one of the last figures released before the Vintage Collection was cancelled in 2013, before it was revived in 2018. You know, so Hasbro could push more Raisin Gins on us. Collectors actually complained about getting another Star Killer figure at the time. Can you even imagine? He was a brand new mold and came with 2 different outfits and a ton of accessories. Its biggest problem was that it was impossible to find, a problem that Hasbro has actually yet to correct with their figures, unless they're from Disney Star Wars. But this was an awesome figure, and the card art was awesome too. Number 8, the Vintage Collection Grand Moff Tarkin and Mouse Droid, VC 98, $100.
I recognized your foul stench when I was brought on board.
As surprisingly as it may sound, Kenner never released a Tarkin action figure back in the day, but collectors were asking for a Tarkin in the TVC line long before Hasbro eventually came through. At the time, which was long before the photoreal tech that Hasbro now uses for the faces, this was an excellent head sculpt for Tarkin, and was the best one Hasbro had released so far. He also came with a mouse droid, which I love, and had actual wheels on it. But whose idea was it to make him green, instead of the traditional gray that the Imperial Navy officer uniforms are usually? And what's with the skirt? I mean, come on. For real, that looks absolutely terrible. But I get it. I'm assuming that they wanted him to be able to sit down, but wow, that looks bad. So Tarkin, what do you think of the figure?
You may fire when ready.
Hey there, friend. Do you like this video?
You like what you see?
Well, I have more content just like it. And if you don't like it, I have more content that's not like it. So how about you help both of us out and hit that subscribe button and hit that like button for this video. I got more great content on the way. Right, Frank?
There's more coming.
Number 7, the Vintage Collection Empire Strikes Back Dagobah Landing Luke, VC 44, $105. One of the best Vintage Collection Lukes and reflective in the price. This Dagobah Luke is very scene specific, modeled after exactly what Luke was wearing when exiting his crashed landed X-Wing, which was actually less than 2 minutes of screen time. Luke's head sculpt is actually good, which is shocking really, and is even better than the last 2 TVC Luke head sculpts that Hasbro has done using their new photoreal technology. I mean, look at these guys. We got an older, portly Luke, and the bad guy in the Nighthawks Luke. And these were with their facial real technology. And then we have this one. This makes 0 sense to me. So Luke, what do you want to tell Hasbro about these head sculpts?
You be more careful.
Yeah, I'll say. Anyway, the orange on his pilot suit has a shine to it to mimic a wet look, and the color pops too. He comes with his helmet, his blaster, and his lightsaber, and is definitely one of Hasbro's better attempts at the Vintage Collection line. What do you think of the figure, Luke?
It's like something out of a dream.
Number 6, the Vintage Collection Expanded Universe ARC Trooper Commander, VC 54. $105. Can you believe the collectors were sick of clone troopers at this point in collecting?
What?
Insane, right? Although this is clearly Captain Fordo from the 2003 2D Clone Wars series, Hasbro opted to name this figure ARC Trooper Commander because the newer 3D version of the Clone Wars TV show was in full swing at this time. There were 2 versions of Captain Fordo, ARC Trooper Commander, in the Clone Wars 2D micro series, and this figure can become either, coming with a Phase 1 ARC Trooper helmet and his Phase 2 custom helmet, along with a removable soft goods comma with an elastic top to keep it securely wrapped around the figure, a shoulder pauldron, and holster, which allows you to dress him as either Clone Wars appearance. A great figure for sure, and a great job by Hasbro. Number 5, the Vintage Collection Revenge of the Sith Clone Commander Cody, VC 19. $105. Everyone's favorite clone that tried to murder General Kenobi, Clone Commander Cody was actually stupid enough to think that he actually succeeded. Cody was released very early on in the line, probably because he's just a straight repack of the Legacy Collection Commander Cody with some slight upgrades. First off, the figure on the card and the card itself look amazing. Like, who doesn't want that? Look at it. Look at it! His helmet is removable, and most of the paint apps are pretty good, along with the real gouges in the plastic where there is battle damage. Now that's dedication. And unlike the Legacy Collection one, the belt isn't upside down this time. Yes, the Legacy Collection figure had an upside down belt, which Hasbro has corrected here. And look, who knew that Cody loved popsicles so much? I guess that scene of Clone Commander Cody taking his other clone troopers out for ice cream after mistakenly thinking that they actually killed General Kenobi was cut from Revenge of the Sith. It's actually the Palpatine hologram, but with that handle on it so it fit into the figure's hand, it looks like a delicious frozen snack. Anyway, the figure is actually pretty good, but just between you and me, you can pick up the Legacy Collection version for pretty much half the price. Just don't tell anyone, okay? Number 4, the Vintage Collection Return of the Jedi Princess Leia Slave Outfit, VC64, $120. Finally answering the requests of collectors, Hasbro released the slave outfit version of Leia in the TVC, and the card looks great. Look at her, trying to kill somebody. But it's another TVC release, which is a Legacy Collection repack, except it's missing an important piece that came with the Legacy release, the extra pair of legs. The legs are removable on this figure, and the Legacy version came with an extra pair of legs of her sitting on her side, which would allow her to sit next to Jabba correctly. And because she's another Jabba Palace figure, she also skyrocketed in price when the barge was announced, although the Legacy version might have been a better and cheaper choice. But everything else with this figure is great, from the accessories to the paint apps. Even the head sculpt is really good for the pre-photo Realtek era, except for the fact that you can't make the head straight. It's always cocked to the side. And don't hold out hope for a repack or a new Slave Leia figure, as word is that Disney is trying their darndest to restrict any release of Slave Leia products. Although she was still a candidate in the Hasbro Black Series archive vote. An awesome figure for sure, and I'm glad I picked this one up way back when. Number 3, the Vintage Collection Expanded Universe Old Republic Trooper, VC113, $200. The last wave of the original release of the TVC was an online exclusive, and some of those figures go for a pretty penny today, and this one is no different. The Trooper is an original mold, and comes from the Old Republic video game, and the art on the card is badass. Just look at that and tell me that you don't want it. Like the ARC Trooper Commander, it seems fairly obvious that this figure is Jace Malcolm from the Old Republic game, a game from which they also released a Darth Malgus, and maybe one other figure that might be on this list. He comes with a ton of accessories, including a removable helmet, a blaster, a friggin' cannon, which he holds exceptionally well, a knife, yes, a Star Wars figure comes with a knife, a pauldron, bandolier, and a combo with a blaster holster. The knife also comes with its own sheath. Just an amazing TVC figure, which may be one of their best ever. Good job, Hasbro. Number 2, the Vintage Collection Expanded Universe Shae Vizsla, VC101, $200. Look at this thing and tell me you don't want it. That card is amazing. She's another figure from the Old Republic video game and is also a brand new figure with a brand new mold, and she is pretty awesome. Instead of going with a removable helmet this time, which would be difficult to do with her long hair, Hasbro chose to have swappable heads, which was a great idea and something collectors had been asking for in place of removable helmets for a long time. But unfortunately, the head sculpt leaves much to be desired and really just looks like a Karen. Look at that face. It looks like she really wants to speak with your manager. But if you can get past that, the figure itself is awesome. She comes with 2 flame accessories for her dual flamethrowers, 2 pistols, and a jetpack with a hose that actually attaches from the back to the front of her chest. She's a little hard to stand with the added weight from the 2 flame accessories if they're attached, but overall, this is a fantastic figure. Number 1. The Vintage Collection Clone Wars Ahsoka Tano, VC102, $225 and much higher. I want this so bad, and I don't know about you, but it's not the figure that I'm after, as the same figure was released in the Walmart exclusive Black Series 3.75-inch line and will only cost you about $30. It's the card that I want. Look at that card art. That's incredible. And it says Clone Wars on it? That's just sick. And am I the only one who is strangely attracted to Ahsoka Tano when looking at this? Wow. Need more evidence that it's the card that people want? Generally, when a TVC figure is re-released through the Black Series or through a TVC repack, the original figure's price drops significantly. Not with Ahsoka. Her original TVC figure price has been steadily climbing, and an unpunched one in really good condition can run you over $350. The figure itself is decent enough and comes with an ignited lightsaber and an ignited Shoto, along with a lightsaber hilt and a Shoto hilt. But for some reason, Hasbro gave her swivel jointed hips instead of using a ball joint, which robs her of some Jedi significant poses. I also think she needs a new head sculpt, but most other collectors seem to be fine with it. But overall, it's still an awesome figure. But I love that card art. What other videos do you guys want to see? Let me know in the comments. What did you think of this list? Do you agree or disagree? What are your thoughts about it? Did anything shock you? There's a good idea for a list. The TVC most shocking prices. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and happy hunting out there.